think about who you want to become, how you want this outcome to turn out. Do you want to end up growing out of this feeling of constriction and scarcity, and do you want to grow into a mindset of abundance and giving? And if so, you might need to change your thoughts and change the way that you're thinking about money and sharing. So, hi Pisces, Bailey B, hanging out for another intuitive reading to help you explore your subconscious and see what's going on. Thank you for being here. I intend for this reading to give you something fascinating to think about, and I hope you can use that information to lead you to more safety and more fulfillment. I want you to check in with your own intuition to see what feels true and only pick up what's resonating with you. Today I am going to read for a relationship or a few relationships in your life. For some reason, I'm just being prompted to do a relationship reading. And this could be any relationship in your life, friends, family. We're just looking for two people that you are going to have significant experiences with, or that you need to be particularly focused on here in the next week. So I have the Yogic path cards here. Let's see what Yogic path we are on this week with our relationships. Muladhara. Ooh. Let's see what this has to say to us. Don't forget to press the like button as well if you haven't already, Pisces. It would really mean a lot to me. And consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'm here every other day doing readings for Pisces. So what does this Yogic Path book have to say to us, Pisces, about our relationships? So I know my pronunciation is terrible, but I hope you'll forgive me for that. This is the root chakra card. You have arrived in a place where you are very grounded in life. Your ideal home is in the process of manifestation, and you are setting roots where you are. This reflects deep healing work that you have done to undo the ancestral ties that were previously holding you back. When you heal your personal life, you heal the lives of all of those who came before you and all of those who come after you. Ancestral hardships such as poverty, immigration, war, slavery, and abuse have come to an end, and you have set up the path for a new way of being for all of your ancestors to come. Thank you for doing this work and anchoring deeply within. It is only when you heal the root that the tree can grow. Wow. So ancestral healing here. This is you breaking the cycle of whatever it was that is holding your family back from being their highest selves. And this could be anything from, just mental illness to abuse, or even smaller things like, tendencies to not express our emotions and specific parenting styles that may have not really been healthy for us growing up. So this is you doing the inner work that it takes to help free not just yourself, but the people that have come before you and the people that are going to come after you from these burdens that you are figuring out and working out now. So that's a really big clue as to who the energies we're talking about today are going to be. This is about you breaking that ancestral line of whatever hardships you and your families have endured. So this is the Zen Osho tarot deck. And I'm going to pull out two cards here, one to represent each energy that we're talking to, and then I'll finish up with some clarifiers from The Beginner's Guide to Tarot by Juliet Sharman-Burke. So, alright, here we go. Let's get two Osho cards for the two energies that Pisces are focusing on here during this ancestral cleansing. The source. So this could represent someone who has passed on to the other side, who is communicating with you from a place of just enlightenment and love, maybe they're trying to direct you to some sort of epiphany, or they're the ones giving you strength in this time. They could be really assisting you with this process of transformation, healing. This sister card here is the Ace of Wands. So we've been talking a lot about creativity and you expressing yourself, Pisces, in previous readings. And actually, there's a really cool creative reading I did maybe like a week or two ago. I'll post that below if you were interested in a creative reading for Pisces. But this is basically somebody who has inspired you to set out on this journey to begin with. It could be like your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your daughter, your brother, just anyone in your life, a significant other. Maybe your significant other has passed and you've had to recover from that. These are all people that still affect us and influence our lives and can bring us messages even in the most unlikely places. So even if it's just your subconscious reminding you of something they said in the past, or whatever you've learned from them, you can still bring with you, bring it up, pull it up in your mind, hear their voice in your mind, and even, really get unexpected words in your head that seem to come from nowhere, but better because it's a lesson that you've learned from someone specific in your life that means a lot to you. And this is the person I'm talking about with the source here. The source energy is the core of inspiration for your creativity or whatever drives you to continue to create and continue to build upon this creation that we're always talking about here in the BaileeBee bouquet. This has been a long time building. And I think that if you identify the person who is at the seed of this inspiration, this creative idea that you're trying to birth, this is who we're talking about with the source energy here. All right, let's pick out a second card for a second energy that we're going to be dealing with this week. What is the second energy? The miser. Whoa, interesting. Like almost the opposite of the source. This is the Four of Pentacles sister card. So this is somebody who has been successful, but is so successful they built a wall around themselves here to essentially, seemingly try to protect themselves, but in doing so they have walled themselves into this fortress, and it has become weight on them that they carry around. There's a lot of found riches here that you or this person has earned, yes, and from the look on their face, it looks like it's been very hard won. This could be somebody who is much older than you or is at least much further ahead in terms of material development, if that makes sense. But it's clear from the look of this card that they are not interested in sharing. So this person could be, seemingly successful, but inside has a lot of resistance to connecting to others. Maybe is still very stingy, even though they are very wealthy. They might spend a little bit, but then when they do give or, bless others with their riches, it's always with a condition. Conditionally giving and doing that for the purposes of saving their own wealth, their own hoard of wealth, not necessarily for any malicious reason, but it is an energy of feeling that you're in lack even when you aren't. So this person could be very wealthy but then still act or behave like they're very unsuccessful, that they could say things like, but I'm poor, or, wealthy people don't give away their money, things like that. I don't know. I don't know what people like that say, but there's like, I don't know, for some reason I'm getting like this person has a saying or think they consistently say things out loud that are opposite to their actual situation. That's what I'm getting here with a miser. So if you know somebody like that, this might be a clue into what you're breaking in terms of your ancestry and your family line. Maybe this person is an example for you of how you don't want to be anymore. Maybe you do have and struggle with that poverty mindset and the fear that even when you do get and earn some money, you are going to lose it, so you don't enjoy it as much as you could. But if this is the person that's taught you to behave this way and to embrace that mindset of scarcity, I think this is what we're focusing on right now, is like getting ourselves out of that mindset and breaking that habit of scarcity mindset for not only ourselves, but maybe our entire families. And a lot of times it has a lot to do with what we say to ourselves, what we say out loud. If for no other reason than that we're convincing ourselves those things when we say them out loud. Your brain hears that and takes it to heart, it's your words are powerful. So these things that our families say to us over and over again, these things that we might say to our kids about money, it's all really important to examine those behaviors if we have a consistent cycle of lack or feeling lack or hoarding resources and not feeling free to share our wealth and abundance. And this can very much be about root chakra healing, right? The root of really existing are those getting those basic needs met, right? Food, shelter, medical care, and a lot of people are afraid that they don't have access to those things. So, and this can go back in our families for generations. We might just have a physical predisposition to that anxiety about security that they're discovering now with epigenetics, that the state of your grandmother when she was pregnant, when your grandmother was pregnant, that affected your mother in utero, which also then affected the eggs that your mother has in utero, which directly affects you, right? So you become, from those eggs, you grow. So the state that your grandmother was in while she was pregnant can affect you directly genetically. And that is pretty mind-blowing. And not to say that, there's anything that your grandmother could have done differently or better with her circumstances. People do the best they can with what they're given, and I do believe that. But over the years, over the generations, these things can really affect us on a physical level. That's all I'm saying. And so it's not always just in your head. It can very much be a body response, a trauma response that generations of families have carried, not just you. You don't have to feel like something is all on your back as you're moving through things, because they're struggles that, people in your family, I'm sure, or probably have gone through again and again. Which is, again, where the source card is coming in. This might be an ancestor who is helping you rethink this whole paradigm around resources and scarcity versus abundance. So there's an energy here helping you to embrace the feeling of security, warmth, rooting down, healing that root chakra energy that we have to have highly developed in order to execute anything that the other chakras are in charge of, if that makes sense. Obviously, the root of something determines the health of something, right? If you think about a tree or any sort of plant, the root system is where the nutrients are coming from and where the stability of the plant is generated. as with us. So it might be a good idea for you to take a peek into your family tree and see who this person might be for you. If you already know who this person is, that's amazing. And I think there can be an attitude of gratitude for everything that that person taught you. And that's going to be a big key in helping you heal this energy around scarcity mindset. Okay, so we have the source energy. Let's get out some clarifiers for this. Let's get a little more information on this person who is acting as the source. Oh, the Queen of Cups. One or two more. Oh, this person full of source energy. Oh, that's too many. Just one or two more cards, please. Two more cards. The King of Swords and the High Priestess. Wow. Queen of Cups, King of Swords, High Priestess, clarifying this source energy. That is a lot of big, impactful energy here, Pisces. We have emotions, mastery of emotions, honoring emotions here with the Queen of Cups. This is somebody who could express themselves and was very in tune with their bodies and how they were feeling at all times. And maybe this person was the one who taught you to express your feelings. Maybe was an example of somebody who could be not overly dramatic or anything, but very much grounded. See how the feet here of the Queen of Cups is immersed in water. The King of Cups is up on this pedestal and his feet are not immersed in the water. So the Queen of Cups is in her emotions here. This is an energy of really honoring what your body and your emotional state is telling you. So if you had somebody in your life that was a really great example of how to do that, this could be the energy we're talking about. The King of Swords is somebody who is very capable of transformation, but over the long term. Very sharp-minded, sharp-witted, knows how to stand in their power and draw very hard boundaries. The King of Swords is a hard ass, basically. You know, it's somebody who can really wield their thoughts and their ideas in ways that really cut to the core of truth. And I feel like this is just two sides of the same energy, right? Somebody who is really capable of respecting their own emotions in a sacred way also can then draw boundaries and say, because they're capable of identifying their emotions, A, and then B, expressing them, they're capable of standing up for themselves, drawing boundaries and saying, this is what I want, this is what I need. And if there, again, is somebody in your life that is an example of this, this is who you need to be focusing on, who you need to be taking advice or cues from when it comes to really moving through this energy of scarcity and lack mindset so that you're capable of rooting down into your own security and feeling a lot more just grounded and less like you're going to be uprooted at any moment, right? That's a really terrible feeling, but it's something that you're working through and getting over. The High Priestess is an energy of being obviously kind of clairvoyant or knowing things that others don't know. This is somebody who knows what's behind this veil, even though it's obscured from the rest of us. Somebody who is very focused on the bigger picture and can see how situations are affecting not only themselves, but the people around them as a whole, and then even larger, the world as a whole, or society, their culture as a whole. So if this person for you was also very intuitive, very aware of the way that other people are feeling when they're going through hardships or things. It's like this is somebody who can read the energy in the room, read people really well. And maybe this is a skill that was actually passed on to you as well. And it could be even something that you have not embraced yet or haven't embraced fully. Maybe because this person might have been persecuted in your family or within, your circle of friends or work. However this is resonating with you, this person could have been almost like an odd person out, and maybe it's why you avoided that part of yourself for longer than you maybe should have, or not should have, but just you haven't really, maybe you had a hard time embracing this intuitive part of you, the part that is just like more spiritual or more like you get hunches and gut feelings and you make decisions based on your emotions or the way your body's feeling. This might have been like looked down on by the people around you, and this person may have been your only example of how to do that. So I think even if this is about money for you, it could also be very well connected to your fear of making intuitive decisions based on other people's opinions of your gifts. If other people don't understand why you make certain decisions and you feel like you can't explain it to them well because it's more of an intuitive emotional thing, that is something that people don't like and often will offer you unsolicited advice or judge your situation because they don't understand your intuitive nature. You may have hid this more than you wanted to, and maybe this is actually the path, this embracing of your intuition, to letting go of this mindset that you have to hoard in order to be successful or in order to keep the abundance that you have, in order to keep yourself safe. You can make intuitive decisions, and this might actually even be the key for you to move into a more abundant place. Okay, so let's get 3 clarifiers for this miser energy. Who is this miser that we are dealing with? All right, we have the Chariot, the 7 of Wands, and the Death card. Wow, that is some powerful energy right there. If you have somebody who's very in your face, very always offering advice when not asked, offering their opinions unsolicited, somebody who is sort of barreling forward constantly without pausing to think about their actions and how their actions affect others. This could be the second person that we're talking about, this miser energy. I feel like with the Chariot card, it's like they're pulling you in different directions, or you have your own direction that you're wanting to go in, and this energy is pulling you in another direction. If you see, the horses are going in 2 different directions on this card. And the charioteer is just kind of like, ah. This could be you sort of fighting your urge to make these intuitive emotional decisions for yourself versus this other person kind of putting their opinions and energy on you of like scarcity and lack and control, and pushing you, even maybe subconsciously, to make a different decision than your intuition is telling you. And it's kind of like you're feeling pulled in these different directions. And then with the 7 of Wands, it's like this feeling of constantly having to explain yourself, having to like convince other people, somebody else, of why you're doing something, or constantly feeling like you have to fight for your opinion, fight for yourself, And when I say fight, I don't mean like violently, but just this constant feeling of being met with friction. That's the word, is friction. You're feeling that no matter how hard you're trying, no matter how clear you are with your vision or how creative you're trying to be, there's just constantly these other blockages, these other energies, or these could be worries, fears, things that this miser has put in your head to believe, like you can't be creative and also make money at the same time, or you have to constantly work in order to be wealthy. Things like that, where it's like intuitively you're like, I know that's not right and I know that's not true and it's actually not how I'm going to thrive best. But how do you explain that to somebody who doesn't think that way, who does believe that the harder you work, the more money you get, and things like that? Those are things that maybe should be true or ideally could be true in certain situations, but it doesn't exist in the reality that we're living in now. There are plenty of people who work their asses off their entire lives and only, are able to maintain a small amount of money or savings or generational wealth or whatever you want to call it, if any. Some people end up in the hole and they work their whole lives. And it's more of a lesson for you to detach from what other people's experiences are and root into your own experience, your own intuition, and know that this is not a battle that you have to fight. You might feel like you have to explain yourself to people, but truthfully, it's not adding to your quality of life, and it certainly is draining your energy. So if you think that this is ringing a bell for you, if you recognize this miser energy and that it is basically drawing you away from what you know to be true, it could be something to look at, right? What is the tension here between what this person is trying to teach me about their experience and what I know about myself and my own experience? The good news is I see the death card out here. So this could very well mean that this is an end to this cycle. This could mean that you're deciding to, or you have decided to heal. You've taken the time. I always look at the sand timer here in the death skeleton sand. The death skeleton. There's crow energy here. Just throwing that out there. I've been seeing a lot of crows lately. That might be a clue for you when you see a crow and you hear crows. Think about what you're thinking, what you're seeing at the moment. That might be a lesson or a sign. But in general, I feel like this death card is a message that you can let this go, that you don't have to hold on to this influence from your family, from this other person, from your past, from the way that you've been brought up. It is coming to an end, and you're letting those old beliefs die out because of all of this hard work that you've done to root into your own body, your own beliefs, your own emotions, and make decisions from that intuitive place. I think this last card being here is almost like permission to let go. This might even be these old ancestral energies, these family members, things that have come before you, lessons that you've learned that are positive about strength and expressing yourself and drawing boundaries and knowing what's right for you in the face of adversity. And that energy is giving you permission to let go of all of these negative lessons that you've learned about scarcity, holding on tight, controlling every little detail, being afraid that you're going to lose the little, that you have. And obviously this is the transformation, right? From one to the other. You're letting it go. You're not fighting this fight anymore, and you're not going to be pulled in two different directions. You're going to start listening to yourself and I think it's a super healthy way to root down into what you know to be true and to really get that healthy root system nourished and in a place where we're in touch with our feelings of groundedness and sustenance and consistent support and security, right? That's what we're looking for here. So I hope that this reading resonated with some of you out there, and I'm getting that I want to pull out one more card of advice. So getting like a strong sense that somebody wants to give you a little parting advice here. So what is this parting advice? No way. The Four of Pentacles again. That's the miser. This is a repeat card here. So I think this is about the storyline going from here to here, right? You start out very well-meaning. This guy is like making his way in life, has been successful, has this big trunk of treasure here that he's very much earned and worked for. And he's at a place where he can now like sit back and kind of review his wealth, right? But over time, if you stay in this place, you stay clinging to your resources, you do end up turning into this miser figure, right? So this could even be you, Pisces. Like you're at a certain level of success, you're at a certain level of income or security, and you're feeling like you don't want to lose what you already have. And I think that the advice here is just be careful to not over time start to build this wall around yourself so high and so tight that you end up walling yourself in and cutting yourself off from the world, and not sharing this abundance with others. So I think this is basically advice. Like it starts here, but it ends here. It's like, honestly, it kind of reminds me of Gollum, right? He used to be a hobbit and then somehow turned into the creature that we see after the ring has corrupted his mind, that selfish kind of obsession with keeping possessions, like earthly material things, can really transform you into a different person altogether over time. And I'm getting that's what happened with this other energy in your life, and you're kind of being asked to survey your own behavior, look at how you're dealing with this particular situation in your life, and think about who you want to become, how you want this outcome to turn out. Do you want to end up growing out of this feeling of constriction and scarcity, and do you want to grow into a mindset of abundance and giving? And if so, you might need to change your thoughts and change the way that you're thinking about money and sharing. So I hope this helped you, Pisces. Press the like button if you haven't already. If you identified with this reading, I'd love to know about who you feel like these energies are for you. At the very least, I hope it gave you something fascinating to think about, and I hope it gave you a little bit more hope and faith to keep moving forward, Pisces. I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are in the world, and as always, live long and prosper.